What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Game Day Talk, hosted by yours truly, Ben. Today, guys, we're going to be focusing on the defense and special teams side of the ball for the Minnesota Vikings. This is going to be a very fun and informative thing, so let's get our commentary right into it, shall we?
Game last year, seventh, top four in yards per game allowed.
So, first of all, on the defensive side of the ball, the Vikings defense actually held their own, despite a little bit of a struggle early on, thanks to the offense not really performing well. But man, that's pretty good. 19 points and third in yards per game. That's pretty good.
Oh, he's smacked!
On third down and in Scott Hansen's house.
Is that Jose again punching it out? Yes.
Isaiah Rodgers.
The defense ranked third in fourth down defense and second in red zone defense. Just overall, this is just a very dominant defense from top to bottom. And they do have some talent, but Brian Flores is just a complete mastermind, which baffles me that he can't get a head coaching job. I think because he's still in the league right now. That's probably why.
Might just have caused his third turnover this game. If this stands, this is unbelievable.
No blind spots with this group, held quarterbacks to an 86 rating and just 158 yards per.
I think that's from the Lions game toward the end of the year. Yeah, that's a crazy game because that's the game Max Rose will start. I think the Vikings didn't complete one forward pass in that game. That's crazy. And they still won by like 2 scores.
Game, second fewest.
Murphy takes it away, and he's out of bounds with another major shift in favor of Minnesota.
Dropping back to throw typically means the quarterback had to dance the ballroom blitz. There are lots of purple people eater vibes with this defense. Fourth most sacks with 49.
The Vikings also were a heavy blitz team last year as well. I think with the addition of Caleb Banks and Dominic Orange, I think they changed that this year. I don't think they're going to continue to be crazy blitz because when you can get pressure with front four, I think you're just a way more effective team.
Viking ball! Wow!
And they are not soft against runners, holding them to 4 per try.
Let's go!
I said vibes. Alan Page's group, the OG PPEs. Vikings 2026 defense will have a different flavor than 2025's. We should see a full year.
Is that a steak? Hold on. Where did you get that from? Let's go back here.
To 4 per try.
Let's go!
I said vibes. Alan Page's group, the OG PPEs.
Oh, the
Vikings
purple people
2026
eaters.
defense will have a different
But gosh, that's a nice looking steak. When did he eat that? That was the Christmas Day game. When did he eat that? That's crazy.
flavor than 2025's. We should see a full year of starts from Dallas Turner, had 10 last year.
All right, so Dallas Turner is absolutely my breakout candidate of the year. Like I think in the back half of the season when he filled in for Jonathan Grenard, I thought he was a top half of the league edge rusher. And this year he's going to be a full-time edge rusher for this team. He had 8 sacks in part-time duty. He also had, I think, 4 forced fumbles. So I think Dallas Turner is just going to be a monster this year for the Vikings. And it's not hyperbole. I really think he's that good.
Lasted 8 quarterbacks, 11 tackles for loss, and 66 tackles. He's the guy they feel like is about to become a star pass rusher.
Dallas Turner sacks Michael Penix.
Across from him, the ultimate Viking.
The gink is on fire!
I think of all the injuries that could potentially happen to the Vikings, I think losing Van Ginkel would be probably the most devastating one. He is the linchpin of the defense. He's the brains of the front seven. Like he doesn't get those pick sixes by accident. Like he just knows where to be when the ball is thrown in the air. So I think the defense does have a lot of depth, but one player that I think they will not be able to afford to lose is Van Ginkel.
Andrew Van Ginkel was born to play in Minnesota, only got 12 games in, dropped 7 quarterbacks in that window.
Picked off by Andrew Van Ginkel!
Defensive end / DT Jalen Redmond.
Jalen Redmond is definitely one of the biggest like diamond in the rough finds that I think the Vikings have had in a while. He's such a disruptor of the interior, great pass rusher, can stop the run, like just an every down defensive tackle. Um, I think this year he's going to get into that top 10 in terms of like defensive tackles of the NFL. When you talk about elites at their position, Jalen Redmond's going to get into that conversation this year. Just watch.
and had a mini breakout in his second year.
You ain't ready for that. You ain't ready for that.
He didn't play much as a rookie. Then, when given more opportunities, over 60 tackles, 12 for a loss, and a half dozen bags.
That's my lucky mouthpiece.
As to some of the changes to their front seven, no more Jonathan Grenard at outside linebacker. Grenard, a 10 plus sack.
So one of the biggest criticism of Grenard last year that I thought was just rooted in such just poor, like lazy takes is that he didn't get enough sacks. Part of the fact that he was injured a lot last year, but he still ranked in the upper echelon in terms of pressures generated, and that's a more of a indicative of a pass rusher's effectiveness. Are you getting pressures? Are you disrupting the quarterback? He plays 2 games against Caleb Williams. That's not an easy guy to take down. So, but sometimes sacks are just kind of like, luck thing. Like, I think one year Patrick Jones had like 5 or 6 sacks in a 4-game stretch, but his PFF grade was one of the worst in the league. Like, he just kind of lucked into the sacks. Pressures are an indicator of consistently beating your man time and time again.
That guy in 2023 and 24, but only 3 last year.
What's the Chris?
No more Jonathan Allen at defensive end. He departed off a
Jonathan Allen was probably one of the most disappointing free agency signings. The back half of the year he was very good, but when things started off, he wasn't very good. So again, I think the defense from an overall and a lot of the different players had decent seasons, but when the quarterback play was very poor, everything gets heightened and exposed to a nth degree.
68 tackle, 3.5 sack campaign.
He avoids a hit and then he gets hit again. The brush was all around him.
And no more Javon Hargrave in the middle. Walked out the door with a 50.
Javon Hargrave, I thought had a pretty decent season. I know the raw numbers don't show that, but I thought he was a really good player for them. It's just, again, it goes back to the offense. The offense just stunk last year. So the defense didn't really have a chance to showcase what they truly could be and what they really could do. Like, I think the Vikings faced the fewest pass attempts against it as a defense because the offense wasn't scoring. Like, if the offense gets better, this is a good team.
52 tackle, 3.5 sack season.
Hey, sacked! They finally sacked Caleb Williams.
They replaced both chaps in the draft. Caleb Banks taken in the first round.
I mean, there is a ton of ability.
I know Caleb Banks is a extremely risky pick, but I think his upside is enormous. So I know the Vikings were criticized for taking him as a player, but overall, I think Caleb Banks is definitely a player that's definitely worth having on your team.
There, but he's had an injury with his foot. He re-injured it. Didn't get to see him much this year. So someone who only played 3 games this year. He's a flash player. It's a little bit hot and cold.
Look at that strength. Like, the guy's just a monster up in the middle.
You see that size
like,
at
that's
327 pounds with 35
pushing guys around.
I mean, this is
I understand why they picked him.
If you hit on
Guy has a
one,
ton of talent.
you could end up with an all-pro.
I think he's just got to stay
Defensive
healthy.
Tackle Dominique Orange taken in the third.
He was dominant in the Iowa game, the rivalry game. Very powerful guy. Plays that one tech.
I believe his nickname is called Big Citrus, and I think that's awesome. So
Nose and a nose technique. He's going to be right over the center, and he can kind of control the line of scrimmage, and he'll flash some of that lateral range, not just pressing guys back. But
I like
you'll see
Dominique
him get
Orange, too.
lateral and make some tackles.
I think
So,
they, from the defensive line, they
interesting
have a
player.
lot of
Pass rush, look,
young
there's no
talent
sacks,
there.
there's not a lot of
I think it's
production
just
to
a
go
matter
off there. You're
of
drafting him
meshing
to stop the
together.
run.
For Levi Drake Rodriguez, a couple of sacks in his second year, over
Levi Drake Rodriguez is probably one of the more interesting players on the defensive line. Um, I think he's a part-time rotational pass rusher. I don't think he can be a guy that can rely on to start. But overall, again, I think he had a pretty decent season. But once again, I keep going back to it. So you're going to see a theme of this. The offense was just so bad that he never really got a lot of opportunities to rush the passer.
40 tackles and a nice 8 tackles for loss, mostly as a backup.
Here's a blitz. Goff is hit, and Jared Goff is sacked.
The dudes at level 2, what a year Eric Wilson had.
Eric Wilson was probably one of the biggest surprises of the team last year. Like, just kind of picked up off the street and just showcased his playmaking ability as a linebacker.
So good, may be hard to replicate, especially because it came in his ninth season. But 115 tackles, 6.5 sacks, and he led all inside linebackers in tackles for loss.
Here's Grenard. He got held. Throw the flag. And Sam Darnold is sacked.
Fellow vet Blake Cashman led the team with 144 tackles, and he only
This is the player I'm really worried about.
played 13 games. He's cracked 100 plus 3 straight years.
He's going to be sacked. Down goes Jared Goff. I believe that was Blake Cashman.
Ivan Pace lost playing time to Wilson, posted the fewest tackles.
I don't think Ivan Pace sees much snaps this year. And going back to Blake Cashman, he's got to stay healthy. Like, he's missed too many games over his last couple of years. But I think when he's been on the field, he's been one of the better linebackers in the league. So with Blake Cashman, it's just a matter of just staying healthy. And Ivan Pace, I don't know, man. I don't see much of a role for him. Like, as soon as Eric Wilson started showing, like, Ivan Pace snaps just completely disappeared. So if there's any part of the defense that I think really, really needs some help, it's probably at the linebacker position.
He's had over his first 3 seasons, still factored into 60 plus though.
Sacked once, gets away from Grenard, and finally is taken down by Ivan Pace Jr.
And still not done. Linebacker Jake Golday picked up in the second round of the draft.
When you're over 6'4",
I do like the linebacker
240
Jake Golday.
pounds, and you can really
That's a
run
really
and carry
nice
guys
pick
down
there.
the slot to go along with some of that range off the edge. You'll see him rush at times. That versatility.
I'm going to go ahead and make a roster prediction. I don't think Ivan Pace makes the team this year. That's going to be a roster prediction for me.
Backside, Salt and Peppa would remind them to thank their moms for one that looks that nice. They're plenty happy to run it back with these dudes. Corner Byron Murphy still looks CB1-ish.
So Byron Murphy, I think a lot of people just kind of looked at him like, oh, he kind of had a down year. But I think when it comes to stats and stuff, you can't just look at interceptions and things like that. Like, those are just kind of random. Still a 73 rating quarterback when thrown against. Even though he only had 2 interceptions, he led the league in interceptions last year. They kind of go up and down. Still think he had a pretty good season. Still like him as quarterback number 1.
Over 70 tackles, held quarterbacks to a low 70s rate, couple of picks.
I ain't missed one yet.
Corner Isaiah Rodgers comes off a breakout year. Blocked a field goal, held his targets to a sub 90 rate.
And it's intercepted. Isaiah Rodgers. Look out, he stands. 30, 40, 50.
A lot of Isaiah Rodgers, good season did come in that Cincinnati game where I think he had PFF's first ever perfect score rating in 99.9. So even though he did kind of had some up and downs, I still think he's a solid player. I think he's going to be a much better cornerback this year.
Over 60 tackles, 4 forced fumbles.
He's the first NFL player with 2 defensive touchdowns and 2 forced fumbles in a game.
He scored twice in his 5th season.
Lost the football. It's Rodgers again, off and running. Oh my goodness. He runs it back for a second touchdown today.
And James Pierre, who they signed away from Pittsburgh, had a career-high 11 passes defensed, a low 50s rating ahead of his 7th year.
It's picked up by Pierre, racing down the left side.
I think this is one of those savvy, very underrated free agent signings in James Pierre. I do think he will definitely see a lot of action. So as far as like from the secondaries, from the cornerback standpoint, I think the Vikings are in very good shape here.
Will they have Harrison Smith, Skull legend? Hasn't committed to playing again, but hasn't officially said he's done either.
Career interception number 30.
I'm going to go ahead and go on a limb here with Harry the Hitman. I think he comes back right at the beginning of the training camp. I think he is. I remember him being drafted in 2012, and I think one of the things that just stuck out for me is that he is obsessed with football, and he just loves football, and he breathes and lives and bleeds football. And I think training camp's going to start, and he's going to see some guys out there. He's going to be like, I got to give it another go. So I think Harrison Smith's coming back. He's going to come back for this season. And Harrison Smith, even like, he's not the dominant player he once was, but I think that if you mention top 10 safeties, He's still in that conversation even at this age. So Harry the Hitman's coming back, man. I just feel it in my heart.
Taking his locker room stall, Jacoby Thomas, a third rounder, they had lots of picks in rounds 1 to 3.
He's got the ability to see the future a little bit from the middle of the field to drive and make plays. Here he shows you some of the pop.
Jacoby Thomas is a very underrated player in my view. So I think he will be a nice addition to that defense. I don't think he's going to see much playing time, but this first year, but I really do think he'll be a good special teams guy probably.
Dump trucks the running back on the way to the quarterback.
Josh Metellus, a sub 90 rate and 2 INTs and over 8.
Josh Metellus, I thought, had a very down year per se, but I still think he's a linchpin to this defense. And again, I think if the offense played better, I think the defense plays even exceptionally more better than the way they played last year. The defense carried them to maybe 3 or 4 wins this year. So this goes back to the offense. The offense has got to play better. The offense has got to play better.
He tackles.
We ain't at home, but this is our. This is our.
And Theo Jackson,
And also, he's a leader too.
70s rate, 2 sacks. Few DB rooms have so many guys who seem to be grooving at once.
Drake London, he fumbled it. That's Vikings ball. Theo Jackson picked it up at the 30.
Need a toe? Will Reichard can get you a toe by 3 o'clock.
I think by out of all the players the Vikings have on the roster, Will Reichard is somehow probably number 1 on their list. Like, he's getting very close to outperforming Justin Jefferson in terms of just how dominant of a kicker that he actually was last year. Like, this guy is just completely unbelievable. Like, this guy is a excellent kicker.
33 for 35 on field goal tries, perfect on extra points. Believe me, dude, there are ways.
End over end kick to give the Vikings the lead is good.
This is what makes the offense's performance last year so disappointing, is that they didn't even need to get into the red zone all that often because they had Will Reichard to score points for them. And they still finished as an ineffective offense.
So 2 new key faces added to the secondary. Pierre in at corner sort of takes the place of Jeff Okuda and Fabian Moreau. Front 7, Banks for Allen, Orange for Hargrave, Golday joining Pace, Wilson, Cashman. That's a deep inside linebacker room they have. The big riddle on offense, who wins the quarterback job, Kyler or JJ? Jennings replacing Naylor, rest of the play.
Look, he forgot about Jawan Jennings, man. The Vikings have added decent amount of talent. This is not a team that is going to finish last in their division, even though for whatever reason there's a lot of people picking them. I get the quarterback position is definitely unsettled, but I think Kyler Murray's going to win that job. I just think the gap between him and JJ McCarthy is pretty massive.
Playmakers the same as last year, JJ, Addison, Hawk, Jones, and Mason. Vikings are a tough read, which is why they've been tabbed with an 8.5 over-under. So much depends on Kyler.
Okay, so another thing that I don't like about scheduling is when people say, oh, this is the easiest schedule or this is the hardest schedule. Injuries happen, things happen. You have no idea how things are going to happen. So with them having the 16th easiest schedule, I don't know, man. The schedule does look pretty hard, but you don't know until the games are played.
Expected strength of schedule, so basing it off their opponent's 2026 expected win totals, is middle of the pack, so not overly daunting at the very least. Let's look at how they could do if Murray ends up as Darnold 2.0 and they shock everybody the way he did in purple. Beat Green Bay at home, take Tampa Bay, Miami, New Orleans.
I'm going to have another video discussing this, but we'll talk about their schedule and where I think they'll finish in the division. The Green Bay Packers are over under 10.5. That's crazy. That's crazy. That is insanely high for a team that has kind of been in the middle of the pack the last couple of years. So
Indianapolis, they have a real tough 4 after that. On the road versus Detroit, Buffalo at home, road games versus Green Bay and San Francisco, but they get back on track versus Atlanta and Carolina, beat Detroit at home, defeat Washington and the Jets, plus Chicago at home, puts them back in the playoffs. Game preview guy Logic says if they can win 9 with that quarterback situation.
So their ceiling, people are thinking, is 12-5, and I think that's pretty accurate. right? They could be a 12-win team. A 12-win team is a Super Bowl contender. Um, the floor is, I think it is 7-10. Probably push it more to 8. Um, I do think that I mean, last year they had horrific quarterback play and won 9 games. So I think 7's probably low. But I do think a ceiling is 12-5 is pretty good. And that puts you at the top of the division and near the top of the NFC. I think there will be an NFC team uh that does actually win more than that. So, we'll see how it goes. Anyway, guys, I want to thank you for tuning in to my breakdown of the defense and special teams. The next video we're going to have is we're going to be discussing each division and who I think is going to win in the future. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.